Okay, we're rolling.
We're rolling. We're rock and rolling.
They see me rolling, they hating, patrolling,
Riding dirty.
trying to catch me riding dirty. I remember exactly where I was when I heard that song for the first time. Sophomore year French class, Victoria McMullen showed me that song on her flip phone. And I was like, wow.
What a crazy memory. I mean, like, the memory itself and also, like, the ability to remember that, because I can't remember anything.
I don't know why I remember that. I just know that I do.
Do you have any other memories with, like, the first time you heard a song?
Yes. All the Time by Jeremiah.
Oh. No. If you don't know where you were when you heard that song, your life is too dirty already.
Yeah. All the Time. I remember that very specifically.
You showed that to me, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh my. Wow. Let's see. What other songs do I remember where I was? David Guetta and Akon, Sexy Chick would be the edited version of that song. Ooh, use a sexy chick. Remember that song?
Yeah. That's like, isn't that the time period of music that I love the most?
Yeah. Okay. Annie has this strange, like, adoration for, like, 2008 to 2010 radio hits.
Yeah, I think
that was her jam. Because
I was in high school and going to, like, all of the high school dances at the time, or, like, parties. And I just was living my best life.
I mean, I don't know that I have, like, a best time of music. That's hard when it's your career.
Your career.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's right now.
The best
like
music
you making
out
it
is
right
probably the music that I've put out. Yeah.
I can't really remember specifically where I was for many things. But I do remember the Thank You Next, like hearing that for the first time.
Oh, Ariana Grande?
Yeah.
Oh, I also remember exactly where I was when I first heard 50 Cent in the club the first time. I was in the car with my dad driving home from the mall in middle school, and it came on the radio, and the DJ was like, "This is Go Shawty, it's your birthday." That one, yeah. And the radio DJ was like, yo, this record is so fire. Yeah, or back then they didn't say fire, but I don't remember what they said.
Yeah.
But he was like, we got to play this again. And on the radio, he played the song again.
Do you think he got in trouble for that?
No, because those ratings shot through the roof. That song was everything.
Shout out to that DJ.
That song ruined Ja Rule's entire career. Like, Ja Rule was the man, and then 50 Cent came along in the club, and
sorry, Ja.
It was over
Where's
for Ja.
Ja?
Where's Ja? Yikes.
Wow. Well, you love to hear it.
There's my music memories for the day.
Music memories? That's hilarious. Well, here we are, week 3. We've made it 3 weeks. How exciting.
Hooray. Consistency.
We love consistency. Yeah, excited to be recording. We only have one child in the house today.
And he's not even in the room this time.
Wow. We really are making steps to become, the world's most professional podcast.
Absolutely. I mean, it's definitely the world's most entertaining, but now we're just trying to figure out, like, all right, let's make this the world's most professional.
Yeah, Jay currently has a sock around his microphone, so that's going to set us back a few paces, but we'll get there.
I wasn't going to tell people that.
But tell them why. It's not your fault.
That's what makes it even more, like, what's the word? Infuriating to me. Because you have these, like, little windscreen things that go on top of microphones so that your breath and stuff isn't picked up as much. And Winston lost 2 of them. So now I have a sock over my microphone. And it makes me angry.
Winston also lost Jay's AirPods.
We can't talk about
we
that.
We won't relive that. But, we'll start a GoFundMe for a new pair of AirPods. If he does not
find those AirPods, he might not make it to high school.
I mean, high school is a long ways away, so if you're going to wait until he doesn't make it to high school...
I don't know. Look, the point is the boy better find the AirPods.
The AirPods.
Yeah, he better find whatever they are, he better find them.
Oh, man. Well, good luck, Winston. We hope that you can find those.
Good luck in this life.
Jay. All right. Well, as we have reached week 3, we just want to give you guys, the biggest shout out. Thank you so much for downloading, for listening, streaming, commenting on our Instagram posts, following along. This has truly been such a fun project already. And the support we've received truly from week 1, when we thought, this is literally just going to be our moms. And
true,
seeing our close friends support and
our not so close friends
and then people that we don't even know. It just means a lot to us, and we're just happy to do this together. This is just, we just wanted to share things that make us laugh, things that bring us joy, and relate to people on that level. So thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much.
All right, let's get into it,
Okay, so yesterday we posted about this on the Instagram as well. If you missed it, not really sure where you were. But Drake has finally shared first pictures of his 2-year-old son, Adonis. Some of you may remember about a year or so ago, Pusha T and Drake were in a wild beef and going back and forth at each other. And Pusha T really ended that by outing to the world that Drake had a son. And
wow.
I don't think there's ever been like a more savage move.
I remember where I was when I heard this.
Really?
Yeah, I was driving in downtown Salt Lake up by the U.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember exactly what I was doing over there. I think I was picking up our son from a friend's house.
The son that the world already knew that we had.
Yes, the one that the world did know about. Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I mean, wow.
That was crazy.
I just don't... First of all, can we just go back to that? Like, should Pusha T have done that?
I mean, in my opinion, no. Like, you should probably like keep people's families out of things like that, especially if Drake is, not talking about it for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, like, are there really rules like in a rap battle like that? Like,
I mean, definitely not. There's not rules,
Yeah, like if I'm trying to win, and here's the thing, Pusha T cemented himself in rap history with that move. Like, Pusha T will always be remembered, probably most likely for outing Drake having a son.
Yeah, that's a bummer because I can't honestly list a single Pusha T song.
I mean, if you heard it, you would know, but...
True. I'm the point is, with names.
Yeah, like, Pusha T is really out here now being known. Yo,
I
this
just
man...
think that is a little bit of bad karma. I mean, I am not saying it's right that Drake did that, to keep somebody a secret like that. But also...
Well, we're going to get to why, but yeah.
Okay. Well, then I'll hold off on my commentary until you tell me why.
Okay. All right.
Dive in.
Drake has shared photographs of his 2-year-old son, Adonis Graham, for the first time. The rapper,
Adonis Graham? You're going to have a whack first name and then a normal
well,
Adonis Graham Bell?
Drake's first name is Aubrey. So...
I know, but like...
I don't know.
Wouldn't you want to go one way or the other if you are Aubrey and then you go by Drake? Like, you've seen both sides. Like, you know which one you like better.
You could have just given him a normal... I mean, look, the kid's going to be super rich. Like, doesn't really matter what your name is at that point. You could just buy whoever it is that's making fun of you.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
But you're never going to find that name on a license plate in a gas station.
Very true. Yes, his 2-year-old son, Adonis Graham. The rapper hasn't shared any pictures of the little one since it was revealed in 2018 he'd welcomed a baby with Sophie Brousseau. I think I'm saying that last name correctly. Brussaux. French-Canadian, I think. Brousseau can be seen in one adorable snap alongside Adonis and Drake, while the musician posted numerous other cute pics of his curly-haired son. His son does not look like what I expected him to look like. But I'm also an idiot for expecting him to look like Drake.
Or anything, because I feel like I feel like kids in general, it's like hard to pinpoint what they're going to look like, right? But then mixed kids, it's like on another level. Like this kid has blonde hair and blue eyes.
Straight Aryan.
I think he is so cute.
He's cute. He's definitely cute. But I see why Drake was not out here talking about his son like that. Because so there's an interview that Drake is giving, and he's talking about this is after Pusha T outed everything. Mm-hmm. And he's talking about how he wasn't hiding his son from the world. He was hiding the world from his son. Mm-hmm. And that like Twitter and social media and just the world that we live in today can be like a savage place. So yesterday when all these pics came out of him and the baby, of course the jokes just started like immediately. Like, this is not the son that we wanted for Drake, and like making fun of him, saying he looks albino and da-da-da-da-da. And he's a baby. It's like, it's a 2-year-old baby that we're talking about. So that's not nice. So I can absolutely see why Drake, quote unquote, hid his baby from the world. Also, I think funny to note, I mean, he talked about it, and he laughed when he was talking about it, so I think he thinks it's funny also. But he had to take 3 paternity tests to make sure that it was his son, because this baby does not look like him at all.
Mm-mm. It really doesn't.
Although it does look exactly like Drake's mom, so there's that.
Oh, is that why he included that picture of his mom?
Yeah, it looks just like his mom. It's like, oh, same hairstyle and everything.
I mean, listen, I think that I can enjoy, a joke every now and then about people's kids, but I just don't think it's right to put it on the internet. Like, I think you can joke about it with your friends, like, about how a kid looks, but like, you don't need to put that online, especially like for a parent to see. I don't know. I think that I understand. Right. I understand that. And
if you're a celebrity, you already know you have a target on your back.
Already. So, yeah.
Like Blue Ivy got it bad when she was born.
Jay-Z Jr.
Right. See, you look.
Exactly.
I'm trying not to laugh.
It's not.
Wow, you threw me off with that.
Wait, isn't that funny though? That like, okay, Blue Ivy was the first baby to Beyonce and Jay-Z and baby girl, and she looks so much like Jay-Z. And then Northwest looks so much like Kanye. Both these girls look so much like their dads, and they were like the first children in both families. Interesting to note.
Punnett squares.
Oh.
I don't know.
Do you want to give us that lesson?
Yeah. So, recessive and dominant traits.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it makes sense why, he wasn't out here talking about having a child and whatnot. And because, honestly, at the very beginning, he just wasn't even sure that it was his kid. Yeah,
I get it. I totally get it. And I think that sort of life-changing news, you can process it at your own speed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's Drake. Drake had a baby.
Drake had a baby, and he's cute, and she's cute. I think the mom's cute.
Yeah, she's cute.
Were we at Disneyland the same day as her? Was that ever confirmed?
We think that we were, but we don't know.
I wish I would have gotten a better look at the kid. The bebe. Adonis?
Adonis.
All right.
Is that a Greek mythology thing?
It sounds like it.
I'm not bothering to look it up, but...
No, we can't. Can't be bothered by facts.
Yeah, I don't got that kind of time.
All right. My first story. Andy Cohen has finally been reunited with his son after being quarantined while he had the coronavirus. So, they were still in the same house.
What?
Yeah. But they were... like isolated, and they wouldn't, for the most part, he was in a separate room the whole time. If like he had to go to the kitchen for something, he would go at a different time. So I believe a nanny was there taking care of, his name is Benjamin.
So this is like Love is Blind Home Edition.
Oh my gosh. No.
Right?
They've already seen each other. That doesn't work.
But like, the challenge is raising your child without ever seeing them.
This is like a spinoff. That is a lot of dads.
Yeah. Oh, dang. Shots fired. Oh, my goodness.
No, his son is 1. So I think that was really smart to, stay away. Although,
oh, yeah.
Haven't heard, that coronavirus is super, like...
No, it got that baby in California.
It did get 1 baby, but I was speaking to my doctor yesterday, and he said that RSV is still more deadly to infants than coronavirus at this point.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. That's all?
No, I mean, like, all right, if that's what he said, I believe him. I don't know.
Anyway,
all I'm saying is that baby still didn't survive, which was like very sad.
Oh my gosh. All right. I
don't know. I'm saying it made me be more cautious about the situation. Yeah,
I think the thing that I just took away from that conversation with my doctor was just some perspective. We have been so paranoid. So, like, if we leave our house, we come back in, take off our shoes, we flip them upside down at the door, and then I sanitize the bottom of our shoes. If we have sat down anywhere on a park bench or at the doctor's office, we take off our clothes. Our laundry room is right next to our front door, and then we leave them in the laundry room to get washed. Hand sanitizer like 3 times between our front door and the car, and vice versa. So anyway, just some nice perspective there. But positive still, because any measures that you take to avoid coronavirus is going to be like avoiding the flu and RSV as well. Anyway, back to Andy Cohen. He had been quarantined for 12 days. So that would just be so hard. You're in the same home as your child and you can't see them. He made a joke that he's pretty sure, his son just thought he was like out of town or something. I mean, he's 1, so it's not like super big deal.
And if he's used to having a nanny, that's not too terrible.
Right. No.
It mostly just sucks for the adult.
Definitely.
Mr. Cohen.
Anyway, he said that it was a sweet reunion and that Benjamin's face lit up when he saw him. And then
is there video of that?
All I'm seeing is photos right now.
How inconsiderate.
I mean...
of them not to give us that inside look. Oh, that's a cute photo.
Yeah, we can put this up on the Instagram. Okay, one more thing I wanted to share from this story. Andy just spoke about what it felt like to have coronavirus, and I thought it was pretty interesting because he is asthmatic. So he said, I'm asthmatic.
Oh, he was already asthmatic. Mm-hmm. Dang.
He said to treat it, Cohen turned to Tylenol, vitamin C, and liquids. And then he said, I'm asthmatic, but the tightness that I felt in my chest was different from the shortness of breath that I felt as an asthmatic. And then moving on, he said it was a low fever. It was no sense of smell or taste, really achy throughout my body, just persistent aches that wouldn't go away. Kind of a dry cough, not horrible. It took about 11 days, I would say, or 12 days to work its way through my system. So
he's treating symptoms, not coronavirus.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's treating coronavirus. They don't know how yet. So They're treating it like they would the flu. So the Tylenol, vitamin C liquids, and then I think just like lots of rest.
Dang.
That sort of thing. Honestly, I think the worst, okay, I shouldn't say this. I think the worst thing is like if you have really bad tightness in your chest, because honestly, nothing's scarier than not being able to breathe. But then the second thing for me would be no smell or taste, because one of the benefits to being sick is like I can lay around and eat whatever I want, Like my go-to food when I was like stayed home from school with a cold.
Chocolate ice cream.
Yes, chocolate ice cream. I loved it. What was yours?
I never got sick. I only stayed home because I faked it.
Did you eat a food though?
Probably Frosted Flakes. Or ramen noodles.
That's not comforting. Ramen noodles would be comforting.
I mean, I wasn't sick. I was just eating. I don't know what to tell you. I didn't really get sick as a child. I
think I got sick like not very many times, but the couple times I did, I just remember that chocolate ice cream hitting the spot.
I do remember, though, the few times that I have been sick, immediately afterward, when I get my appetite back, I always want chicken.
Ooh, that's probably like your body being like, let's rebuild itself, you know?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we're happy for Andy Cohen, happy for his journey, happy that he's recovered. Yeah. That's
Shout
a big
out
deal.
Andy Cohen. He made it through the Rona.
Right.
Where did Andy Cohen get the Rona from?
You know what? He doesn't say, but he hosts that show, Watch What Happens Live, and I know that he has a studio audience. So
one of them dirty people in the audience got in the Rona.
One of them dirty dogs.
You hate to see it.
You hate to see it.
Yo, you know what's crazy about Rona is that like you don't actually have to be like a dirty person to get coronavirus.
Wait,
like,
not at all. That's like the same for every other cold or flu. You're not dirty. You're just breathing air.
Oh. All right. Well, then never mind. It's not like hepatitis.
No.
Who knew?
All right. What's your next story?
Oh, yeah, my bad. All right. So, all right. Tenants get help as LA freezes rent hikes for thousands of apartments over coronavirus. Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti announced Monday that landlords would not be allowed to increase the rent for hundreds of thousands of apartments in the city in his latest effort to ease the financial hardship on Angelos from the coronavirus outbreak. Rent will stay the same, the mayor said during a briefing on Monday afternoon. This is a common sense action on the top of the eviction moratorium that will help folks stay in their homes and make ends meet. So that's two like things that LA has done. Not allowed to increase rent, and then also you can't be evicted from your place if you can't pay rent because of coronavirus.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, why is it common to raise rent prices?
I'm pretty sure in LA there's like some rule that says every year landlords are allowed to raise rent 3 to 4%.
Oh, okay. So they're just going off their like yearly regular increases.
Right.
I understand. Okay, it wouldn't be like an increase in response to coronavirus.
Right. Yeah. No one's like, oh, coronavirus.
Okay, that's what I thought it was, and I was like, wow, cruel, heartless people.
Yeah, that'd be terrible.
Yeah.
No. It's just normally rent goes up 3 to 4%. Mm-hmm. So the mayor was like, nah. We ain't doing that. Not this year.
You know what? Great move.
Yeah.
Do you have to, well, I don't know if you know this, so like let's hypothesize, but if you can't pay your rent in LA because of coronavirus, do you have to provide proof of like why you can't?
I think that you do, because they're not saying that no one can be evicted. It's just people that can't pay rent due to the coronavirus situation.
So if you're still like, if you're being like a not great tenant.
Yeah, you can still get evicted. It's just they can't evict you for not paying your rent due to coronavirus. Mm-hmm. However, they're not doing a rent forgiveness. There's just no late fees, and you do have to pay back rent. And I think it's for up to a year.
Wow.
Yeah, if I'm
not
mistaken.
Have you seen that TikTok? Oh, wow.
The council also waived late fees and allowed renters to make up late payments for up to a year after the expiration of the emergency order.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, and this is the part you're talking about. Council members, however, rejected a blanket ban on all evictions during the pandemic, and all back rent must still be paid.
That's nice. I feel like that's kind of like a meeting in the middle of, people showing kindness to their tenants, but also, I do keep thinking, because we rent, right?
Mm-hmm. We do?
Surprise!
This whole time, I had no idea.
I keep thinking about renters and the stress it is. I mean, everyone's stressed about their rent and their mortgage,
Right. I think regardless of who you are, you're stressed during this time.
Oh, 100%. Yes. But I do think of like landlords as well. Like they have bills to pay, and
true,
where people are being greedy, like I hope that they are being if you don't necessarily need the money as a landlord and you're able to be, I don't know what the word is, like you're able to
be lenient.
Yes. If you're able to be lenient, I hope that people are and not just being greedy, because now is just not the time to be greedy.
I mean, from what I understand, also the banks are giving homeowners some leeway on mortgages as well.
Mm-hmm. That's so nice. I mean, I think it has to be done. Everyone's in the same boat. We just have to all come together and be understanding with one another.
Yeah.
And that's that about that.
That's not about that.
All right. My final story for the day.
Please.
Tiger King sparks police request for new leads in the disappearance of Carol Baskin's husband.
Oh my gosh. My man is reaching. He's reaching. I'm very excited to see where this goes, but he's reaching.
No, not the Tiger King. Because of the documentary, the police are asking for new leads.
Oh, the police are reaching. Yo, justice for Joe Exotic.
Literally.
Joe Exotic just out here trying to save the tigers in his own very strange cult-like way.
Yeah, is he trying to save the tigers? It's debatable.
Not anymore. Yeah, no, definitely not anymore.
We recapped the first half of the Tiger King. I will add it to our highlights on our Instagram page. But wow, what a show. It's on Netflix if you haven't watched it. And you have to.
If you have to.
Like the conversation that's happening during the quarantine is quarantine related, right? Mm-hmm. What are you doing to keep yourself busy and occupied and be like being lonely, not being able to see anyone? And then also the Tiger King documentary on Netflix.
Like, that's all we have to talk about.
That's all we have. Like,
but what a great thing to be talking about, because there are no low points in that documentary.
True. But think about this. Not that you necessarily would rewatch a documentary per se, but you know when something like music or TV shows happen at a certain point in your life, mm-hmm. and then all you can remember about it is how you were feeling and like the current events of the time.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be Tiger King. Like,
history books years from now and be like, during the coronavirus outbreak,
the
US
only thing giving them joy
could only turn to Joe Exotic in this time of need.
Sure, in history books, maybe that would be hilarious if it was, but for my own self, like my own recollection, I don't think I'm going to want to remember the Tiger King, because it's going to bring up the emotions and feelings of being quarantined.
Nah, Joe Exotic till I die. Nah.
All right, well, listen to this. Following the massive popularity Netflix, The Tiger King, Murder, Mayhem, and Madness, Florida Sheriff Chad Chronister is asking fans for new leads.
Names? All right.
On Monday morning, the Hillsborough County Sheriff wrote on Twitter.
On Twitter, my mans.
Since Netflix and hashtag COVID-19 hashtag quarantine has made hashtag Tiger King all the rage, I figured it was a good time to ask for new leads.
Yo, time out. My man is not asking for leads.
Is that how you're asking for leads on Twitter?
My guy's trying to get Twitter verified.
Honestly.
He's not, nah. Well, he said all the rage.
No better time to get Twitter verified than during the quarantine.
My man said all the rage. How are you going to be a sheriff and say all the rage?
Since this case of murder is all the rage.
Yo, who is this guy's PR?
I mean, it really is. It's the hot goss, you know?
Oh, my days. Yo, Florida. What a place.
Florida. Let's just...
He's like, hey, so who's trying to snitch on Carol Baskins? What do y'all know? Come at me. Let me know. I'm going to do an IG live over here at 6 p.m. Eastern.
But when this happens, though, like, I love when a story, a mystery, a murder like blows up like this, and then they have a platform to ask for leads like 10, 20 years later, and people will come forward with like legit information.
Yo, R.I.P. Carol Baskins. It's over for you. It's a wrap. They've gone to Twitter.
What a spooky gal. She is spooky.
Everybody knows a Carol Baskins, I think.
Oh, for sure. I knew at least like 3 to 4 people while I was watching that documentary that I was like, they're growing up to be Carol Baskins.
Absolutely. Yeah. We all know a Carol Baskins.
I don't know if any of my Carol Baskinses are capable of murder, but who knows?
You don't know.
I don't know.
You really don't know.
All right, so that's pretty exciting. You know, justice for Don Lewis.
We think.
Unless he's like living in Costa Rica, you know, being a billionaire.
I don't know, man. This really could be anywhere. Based on that documentary, literally anything could have happened. And at this point, I don't know if I would be surprised or shocked. It would just be like, makes sense.
I hope that we get answers because we, as a quarantine public, deserve it.
Absolutely.
No time like the quarantine to solve a case, I always say.
Cold case.
Yeah.
Ding, ding.
All right. Let's get into the most highly anticipated recap of my quarantine.
Oh, man. Oh, my.
The first episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians has officially aired. It aired on Thursday of last week, and wow, it was such a gem.
Yo, if you enjoy UFC, you would have enjoyed this episode.
Here's what I will say. I am a Kardashian loyalist, if you will.
That is true. You are a stan.
Mm-hmm. And I have watched them since like nearly the beginning, and
Wait, really?
Nearly the beginning. So not like season 1. I mean, I've watched every season but I probably started, let's see, they're on like season 18 now. I probably started around like season 7 or something.
Wow.
Yeah. I just have to say this is one of the best premieres. Is that the right word?
Season premiere, yeah.
This is one of the best season premieres that they've ever had. This is like a hot take, but after Kim got robbed in Paris, the quality of the season just like skyrocketed.
Dang.
And I know that that's awful to say, but
I mean, they used that footage. They made the best out of that in terms of like getting ratings and whatnot.
Oh, 100%. And just like the overall editing of the, you know, B-roll footage and the home videos inserted in there, it just was like overall great. New music. Anyway, so my biggest pet peeve is usually when they give us all the trailers and teasers, that is footage from the final, like the season finale, and we have to wait all season. Nope.
Not this.
The fight that they have been teasing us for a month was in episode 1.
Boom, we got it.
We got it. I was so thrilled. Honestly, this was the episode we needed during quarantine. And I don't know if they like re-edited and decided to release things in a certain different order. If so, good on them because we needed this quality television. But
yeah, absolutely. We needed that.
It was great.
Tiger King and then this.
Okay, let's start out with the beginning of the episode where Kim and Tristan have dinner in New York.
Oh, yeah. Very surprising. Most of you, many of you, none of you would know that Tristan Thompson is Khloe Kardashian's baby daddy. He famously cheated on her twice. And one time he got caught like the day before or the day that she was having their baby. So, yeah, there was a little family feud in there, some bad feelings. But episode 1, season 18, Kim is in New York. Tristan hits her up on the hotline bling and is like, hey, I'm right next door. What are you doing? Da, 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 da. She's like, yeah, let's go to dinner. Da, 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 da. Next thing you know, she's at dinner with Winnie Harlow and Lala and whoever else her friends are. I didn't care about any of them.
The food god.
Who is that?
That's Jonathan Cheban.
Oh, yeah.
Chobani.
Yeah. The day that I saw Jonathan Cheban, is that how you say it?
I don't know.
Eating like gold-covered wings. I wrote him off. I was like, nah, this guy, eat the rich at this point. Because what are you doing?
Yeah.
This is foolishness.
The funniest part of that dinner was before Tristan got there, Kim was giving everyone the backstory. Mm-hmm. And it was like, these are all your best friends. Like, they all know. They already know. She's like, Tristan Thompson, who you may know as Khloe's baby daddy. Like, yeah, everyone knows that.
Everyone knows that. But I wonder, I mean, I feel like that's just the way they cut it, though. Because I feel like you know how Kim is always about whenever there's a feud or anything like that, she's always about the kids. Like, let's keep, these are kids.
Yeah,
kids.
you're
So
right.
I feel like she was probably more talking about like this is their Chloe's baby daddy and like,
oh, like
this
the
is True's.
justification. Yeah.
Right. And they just kind of cut it to make it look like she was giving backstory to
Yeah.
maybe viewers that wouldn't have known.
I like that point of view. I think that you're right.
I remember that because when she was on Ellen and when OJ got out of prison and she kept like asking Kim about like OJ and blah, blah, blah. Kim's answer was always just like, well, like I know his children. And so, you know, I try to, you know, keep that in mind, blah, blah, blah. And then Ellen was just like, well, I'm just out here trying to ruin kids' lives. True. I don't know why I remember that. But.
That's funny. Well, yeah, I agree then. So interesting factoid, interesting to note. We haven't really seen, we've never seen this much of Tristan Thompson in an episode.
He's the new Scott Disick.
Oh my gosh, is he?
Where was Scott?
That was my biggest critique of episode 1 is we need more Scott.
I don't think we're going to get more Scott because eventually Courtney's out. I mean, she's already tweeted that she left the show. Mm-hmm. So that means Scott is out.
That doesn't mean Scott's out. No way.
I mean,
Scott's not in the show only because of Courtney.
I mean, he's literally in the show because he has Courtney's children.
Initially, but now he's like part of the family. I mean, they all talk to Scott regardless of where Courtney stands on it.
Sure, but he's going to be relegated to the role of Rob at this point. Like, he's not going to be
absolutely not.
Like that.
You do not know what you're talking about.
He already has his own show. He's putting his energy into that.
Okay, they all have their spin-offs.
Yeah,
they all have had their spin-offs. No, I don't agree with you.
No. Wait,
no,
okay,
Scott
let's put money
is the
on
best.
it. Let's put money on it. I'm here for Scott Disick, Lord Disick, till I die.
He's not gonna be phased out.
He's going to be phased out.
He won't.
And no. Tristan Thompson is here to stay. Because what else is Tristan Thompson doing? The Cavaliers are garbage. So, there's no NBA.
He lives in Cleveland.
There's no NBA.
I could definitely agree with you in terms of like down the road they ease him into being more of a character. I still think that would be like 2-3 seasons away. Like they have to show us who he is.
Now is the present. There's no NBA. Get him on tape. Get him coming through.
I mean, maybe they will, but we won't know that until next season.
I'm telling you, just look for it. This is the end of Scott Disick and
It's not the end of Scott Disick. There's no way. But I do think it could be the addition of Tristan Thompson as it is the end of Kourtney Kardashian.
All right, cool.
All right. Well, you know, I don't think anyone is necessarily a Tristan Thompson fan, but I did like him in this episode, and I think that him and Chloe, I mean, whatever's best for Chloe and True, I will support, you know.
Right.
But wow, I am so over Kourtney Kardashian complaining about this TV show. I'm sorry. I don't find it that it's hard work for you to live your normal life and get filmed. Like, that is not hard work. She kept saying, I work my ASS off. I work my ASS. Like, doing what? You having a conversation with your family and having someone record that and count it as work? That's what we're all doing all day long. And then the rest of us are also going to work 8-hour jobs.
The rest of us are having the exact same fights in our families and not getting paid to have them.
Exactly. So I don't find it that it's the hardest work you've ever had. I think
it's draining.
Sure. And I think she made a good point last season where she said, you know, we go through this drama or this hardship and we film it and then we have to rewatch it 6 months down the road after we have moved on from it personally. That gets old. That gets draining. I can see how that would be an issue. I can see how that would be challenging. However, I don't think it's the hardest line of work there's ever been. And for the paycheck, I think that it's fine.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a pretty relatively easy job compared to trying to cure coronavirus.
Right. And I think that part of her argument is that she doesn't want to, it doesn't matter how easy it may seem. She doesn't want to work at all. She wants to be a stay-at-home mom, which is fine. I don't think that there's any problem with being a stay-at-home mom. I think that you can do it and be proud of it.
I want to be a stay-at-home mom.
But just say what you mean, you know?
I mean what you say.
don't say that you're working so hard.
Say it with your chest.
Exactly. And also just make a decision. Do you want to be on the show or not? Because this bad energy, I mean, while it's making great TV, is just making you look so ungrateful, and it's annoying.
I mean, she made her decision. She said she's out. So I think this is not I think.
This is the farewell tour.
Yeah, this is the farewell tour of Courtney.
Yeah. So long. She used to be so much fun, and I don't know what happened.
I mean, she's moved on. She's got some kids, getting older.
She moved on from being fun or having a sense of humor.
I mean, I will say that I'm glad to see her moving on from this stage, in that she's the oldest of the sisters. She has the most children, and she's like...
She doesn't have the most children.
Who has the most children? Oh, Kim has the most children. Mm-hmm. You're right. But this is Kim's, livelihood, whereas Courtney she doesn't want this to be her livelihood. So she's like, I'm older, I'm over this, I'm out.
True.
I like that growth.
Sure. Yeah, at this point, I just want her to make a decision, and I will respect the growth regardless,
She did make a decision.
I know, but we're still watching it go back and forth.
Oh, right. You
know what I mean?
Okay, I get you.
All right. Moving on. Oh, wait, we didn't even really get into the fight, the physical aspect of it.
Oh, that's what I thought you were moving on to. Yeah.
Wow. What a fight.
All right, so look. Kim is talking to Kendall, right? Mm-hmm. She's like, Kylie's sick. Oh, nah, she's not going to Paris to be in the Balmain thing. Da-da-da-da-da. Mom isn't used to people not doing things.
Yeah.
Because me and Chloe always do everything. But Kendall, you're kind of wishy-washy. And Kendall was like, what? Say it to my face. Yeah.
Everyone got so angry.
Yeah, that guy got hot real quick. So Kendall was like, what? Say it to my face. I work hard.
But here's the funny thing is Kim is point blank just talking about working hard on the show, and Courtney and Kendall are both referring to their full plate of projects. And in that regard, sure, you do work hard. You do have things that your hands are
No, I think Kim's talking about everything. Because Kim's talking about Kylie, the whole thing is Kylie's not going to Paris because she's sick.
Oh, true.
So yeah, Kim's talking about, she's coming at everyone's entire lives.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
So Kendall's like, no, I work hard. I work hard for my money. Mm-hmm. Is that a song? Right? Or sure. She works hard for her money. I don't know. Anyway, she's like, I'm Miss Independent. Don't come at me like that. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, well, Courtney. And then Courtney's like, if you ever say that to me again.
And Courtney goes 0 to 900.
She goes Ronda Rousey on me. She came out hands ready.
And why? So she initiates don't you ever blah, blah, blah. And Kim's like, don't come for me like that. Don't.
She said, check your energy.
And Kim says something like, I will punch you in the face. And then Courtney's like, do it.
Yo.
Do it.
And then, according to Rob Kardashian, it turns into an episode of Bad Girls Club.
It really did. Yo. And she hit her not once, but twice.
Breaking down this fight, I feel like Joe Rogan, right? I mean, they grapple. What's her name? Courtney is going for the crotch kicks. She's really trying to really mess her up. And then she goes with the nails in. She goes nails into triceps.
Yeah.
So she's got her nails gouged into Kim. And Kim is like, if you ever gouge your nails into me like that, who are you? How old do you think you are?
How old are you? How old are you?
I'm everything.
I'm everything. I'm everything. Wait, who said that? McKenna said that. I'm everything, Tammy.
No. It was the opposite. Tammy said, I'm everything. She was like, you're nothing to me.
You're nothing to me. I'm everything. I'm everything bagel. Never forget.
Kim is like, yo, but here's how you know Kim has been hanging out with Kanye and his people. Because, well, I don't know what she was like before. But the fight was over and Kim came back for more. She was like, nah.
Courtney walking away.
You're not gonna put nails on me like that and not feel this hand. So she came with the strong right open hand hook. Bow. side of the face. Chloe steps in. No. Come on, guys, don't do this. I didn't mean to make my voice low like that. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I did that.
People were like, why couldn't Chloe have stopped this fight sooner? Like, she's literally taller and bigger than both of them.
She could have, but I mean, like, sisters are going to be sisters, so she probably just had to let them do them.
I saw a ton of tweets that was like, a lot of you didn't grow up with sisters, and it shows.
Right. I mean, I have one little sister, but I'm a boy, so obviously we weren't fighting. But then, like, she gets her with the one, backs up a little bit.
Winds up
a little bit. She's like, all right, now I'm really ready. What's her name? Courtney goes down the hallway.
She's running away.
She's like, yo, I'm out of here. Like, this is too hot for me. I didn't sign up for this. And Kim is like, all right, bring that back here, boy. Bow. Got her with another one.
Another one.
And the whole time, Kendall is just looking like every girl from my high school during a fight. Just like,
that was me during a fight.
Oh no.
She wasn't ready. No.
That was craziness.
It was
absolute madness.
So I actually, right before we started recording, looked at an article on E! And I guess Kim was on, I don't know if it was Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon last night via like a Skype chat.
Mm-hmm.
And he was asking her about the fight. And she was like, I normally never resort to violence. And I haven't watched the interview, but essentially she was saying like, this was not my proudest moment, but
it was my proudest moment of Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, honestly. She said that, I know you couldn't see it, but Courtney scratched me so hard I was bleeding. And I mean, granted, it's a scratch, but also like, if you're already heated, don't come at me, first of all. Just don't, because that's going to send me through the roof. And then you scratch me and make me bleed, like, it's game over. That was
amazing.
But she said that production stopped for a week after that. Like, they were like, this isn't the show that we want to be filming, and we want everyone to like feel safe here. And I think it is kind of scary, like, for crew members who don't really, I think they didn't know if they should step in or not when they were filming that. And they didn't know how.
Jerry Springer real quick.
Oh my gosh, for real.
But the Jerry Springer people, they're trained for that. Trained and ready. not keeping up.
No. So anyway, that was what I heard this morning, and I thought that was interesting. I mean,
that's good. I'm glad that they stopped production.
Perspective. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they did the right thing. But what entertaining television.
Oh, that was madness. Absolute madness.
Absolute madness. Great episode. Can't wait for this week's episode. The fight finishes this week.
We get round 2?
Yeah, I think it's like right at the beginning, and it'll just be like a snippet. I just am really hoping that they didn't start on this super, super high note and then like are going to send us into a lull, because they already raised this bar so high.
Right. I don't know. I mean, we'll see.
We will see. Happens. We'll stay tuned. Okay, are you ready to get into our topic for the day?
Yes. What are we doing? What are we talking about?
I think that you remember last week we had a Dear Mom and Dad writer write in about an issue that they were having with their boyfriend, and we recommended that they look up the 4 Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And
what am I saying? Oh, yes, as if I didn't know we were going to talk about this.
Yeah. I mean, you're acting surprised.
Yeah.
Perhaps you're just using this as an opportunity to showcase your acting abilities.
Yeah. Wow. The 4 Tendencies.
Acting is reacting. Yeah. So since this has been a big topic of conversation in our marriage, since we figured these things out, since we heard this podcast, I thought, why not just share it with people? Because I find this fascinating. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Once I found out which of the 4 that I was, a questioner, a lot of things made sense.
So again, this is by Gretchen Rubin. She wrote a whole book on it.
I always want to say Gretchen Wieners.
Yeah, well, that's wrong. There's more than one Gretchen in the world, Jay.
I don't know that there is.
Okay. Well, anyway, Gretchen Rubin, not Wieners, wrote this book.
Gretchen Rubin sandwich.
Okay. She has the book, and then she also has a podcast called Happier with Gretchen.
I'm sorry.
Stupid. Okay.
Gretchen Rubin. Okay, go.
I gotta rein it in. Okay. So she's essentially saying that as a society, people are broken out into 4 tendencies. She did a study that, what's the word?
What?
Replicates. I don't know. It reflects society as a whole.
Okay.
I don't know. I didn't do well in statistics, but anyway, she did a study and she came up with these 4 tendencies. So we have the upholder, we have the obliger, we have the questioner, and we have the rebel. So the upholder meets outer and inner expectations. The obliger meets outer expectations and resists inner expectations. The questioner resists outer expectations and meets inner expectations, and the rebel resists outer expectations and inner expectations. So kind of breaking that out, if you think about it, it's pretty simple. An expectation would be like from a boss or from a teacher. That is an outer expectation. Like you have to do the homework by this date, or you have to finish this project by this date, right?
Someone or something other than yourself expecting something from you.
Yes, exactly. And it doesn't have to be professional. It could be your mom. It could be literally anyone expecting anything. And then the inner expectation would be like you setting a goal for yourself. Like, I am going to wake up at 6 every morning, or I am going to run 5 miles a day and train for a half marathon, right?
Yeah, anything that you expect from yourself.
Yes. So me personally, I am an obliger, and I realized
through and through
today that the obliger is the largest of the 4 tendencies. Like the majority of people are obligers, meaning
y'all basic.
They not really, because that makes us really good workers. That makes us really good students. We meet outer expectations, but we resist inner expectations. So for me personally, like I am a people pleaser. I like to get things done. I like to get my tasks done that are assigned to me. When it comes to my own personal goals, it's a lot harder. Like I need, and this is all obligers, need an external person of accountability or someone to hold them accountable for these things so that they can get X, Y, and Z done.
Right. Yeah. That's definitely you. Absolutely. I mean, I feel like this podcast is even a testament to that. Like you've had the idea and we've wanted to do it for quite a long time, but it really wasn't until like we did it. And now there's like this weekly expectation of it getting done that keeps it going.
For sure. That's a great example. And then we have questioner. So,
bingo.
Yes, exactly. The questioner resists the outer expectations of teacher, parent, coworker, etc., boss, but meets inner expectations.
That is me to a T.
And this is actually the second most common.
That's right. Right. Yeah.
Yes. So, a great example is you are awesome at setting your goals for your music. You are an entrepreneur, and because you are a questioner, being an entrepreneur comes a lot easier than, say an obliger, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because for me, it's like, and you can attest to this, I research and pride myself on like knowing more or learning more than any other like artist or independent artist that I'm in the room with when it comes to like the business side of music. And I think that's because I question everything. So I'm like, well, I need to find out the answer because I don't know it.
Exactly.
And if I'm going to make a move, I need to have the information to make that move off of.
But on that same token, like if someone were to come and tell you like you need to research all of this by tomorrow, are you going to do it?
No. Definitely
not. Like it has to make sense in your brain.
I mean, if they're paying me, but yeah, no.
Well, exactly.
If they're just like, hey, this is a good idea, blah, blah, blah. Like if I don't see the value in it, I'm not going to do it.
Exactly. Which I think even if you are being paid, if you don't see the value, it is harder for you to want to work on that project.
100%.
Yeah. And then we have rebel, which resists outer and inner expectations. It's kind of
what are y'all doing?
Yeah. Honestly, I would love to like chat with someone who is a rebel personality and just see how they motivate themselves to reach a goal or to finish a project or
how they exist in life.
How they're making a living. Yes.
Yeah, for real.
And yeah, so very interesting. So she goes through in her podcast episode and talks about these 4 tendencies and then some commonly asked questions. And one of the questions that she addresses is people asking her like, how, like, am I able to tell what another person's tendency is? And she said the only way you can really tell is if you understand how that person thinks. So you do have to know someone pretty well before you can give them this statement, you know?
I mean, you told me right off the bat I was a questioner, but we would have been married for a few years by then.
Yes, exactly. So I knew you really well.
Right.
And I know how you think. I know how you approach things. And it really, when I heard this, I immediately knew this is Jay's personality because I've seen his work ethic, because I've seen how he creates music and how he gets things done that he really wants to get done with like such fire and fury. Anyway, so I would say like if you're married and you've been married for a decent amount of time, you can likely figure out which tendency your spouse is. But if you're just like, you know, maybe you're a job interviewer and you're interviewing candidates, I doubt you're going to be able to figure that out in the first few minutes.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And because everyone lies during their job interviews. For
sure. Like, take notes from Hannah Ann. Oh my gosh. Can we just put a pin in that really quick?
Sure.
I watched Hannah Ann she did an interview via Skype with Nick Viall, and there was no way that she ever was in love with Peter. Okay. I don't know. I just like watching her talk about it. She was so over it. She was so...
You could just tell already. She was over it. Yeah.
I need you to watch it so you can like agree with me. I mean, I know that you're going to agree, but it's just like, it's so odd the way she speaks about it. Like if you have a few minutes, the interview itself in total is like too long. It's probably like an hour. But if you have a few minutes to skim through, I would recommend doing that just because I find it so weird, just like from an observational standpoint. Anyway, okay, back to this. So one way she suggests kind of figuring out what a person is, or it can be like an indication of what a person is to ask them about New Year's resolutions and like their thoughts and feelings on New Year's resolutions. So an upholder, which I feel like upholders, like they are the most common is obliger, and then second most common questioner, and then upholder, and then a rebel. And I just feel like those upholder personalities, like they are probably so successful in life.
Good for them.
Like they can attack their own goals. They can attack whatever task is thrown at them. Like that's really awesome. Anyway, she says to ask about New Year's resolutions. So typically an upholder will love New Year's resolutions and they're very successful at them.
Okay.
An obliger doesn't like New Year's resolutions because they typically aren't meeting them, right? Like you set your own New Year's resolutions. You are the one being accountable, and that's really hard for obligers. Yes. So they are not going to love them. And I can share my testimony of New Year's resolutions with you that I, in fact, hate them.
Okay. You heard it here first.
Yeah, I actually started making New Year's resolutions, like, not New Year's resolutions, but goals in general, like, in the summertime, just to spite, like, January 1st. Like, you have no power over me January 1st. I will do this when I want.
Wow. So are you, like, because you can tip into one or the other. So would you say that you tip questioner?
Well, I feel like I have tipped more rebel than anything. Like, for example, I will say to myself, okay, I should, you know, while I'm on maternity leave, start to develop a routine because I know it'll help me get a lot of things done. But then the idea of setting a routine, it's not even that like I won't hold myself accountable. It's like I don't want to tie myself down. Like I don't want to commit.
She ain't gonna tie me down.
Exactly. Like she ain't gonna tie me down to a routine not today. So I don't know, but I think that you can, as a whole, like as a society, everyone dips into all 4 of the tendencies at some point in their life. Like they will have some task that seems so arbitrary to them, they won't get it done. And that falls into questioner, right? Or like they refuse altogether to even, they don't want to do something, that falls into rebel. So. But
that isn't to say that you kind of go back and forth. Like you are who you are, though.
You have a baseline of who you are, but you've likely in your life done something
that is rebel-esque.
Yes.
Okay.
But that's very much like a one-time spinoff. So I feel like I'm an obliger that tips into a rebel personality. Anyway, going back to New Year's resolutions, questioner, that's you, won't make New Year's resolutions in January because January is an arbitrary date. And to most questioners, they're like, I can follow through on any goal I set, and therefore I can set them whenever I please.
Yeah, that's probably true, because I don't typically set my goals in January.
I don't think you've ever set like a New Year's resolution. Like January 1st has not been like okay, I'm changing my life. Today's December 31st and tomorrow I'm changing my life. Like you just, anytime you're ready to set a goal or you see something that you want, then you're going to set the goal immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. And then the final is rebel. They will either love resolutions because they know they can challenge themselves, or they will never make resolutions because they don't want to chain themselves down.
Yo, I need to meet a rebel.
I need to.
Yeah, if you're listening to this podcast and you know that is your personality type, that you're just like, I hate when my boss tells me to do things. I don't like when I tell myself to do things. I just want to kind of live life. Please DM us so that we can talk to you.
We need to talk to you. We need to ask you all the questions. Yeah. So yeah, those are the 4 tendencies. I think they're just super interesting, not only if you're in a relationship to know like what the tendencies are of your partner, but to really know the tendencies of yourself. And it helped me to understand like, okay, I don't need to be as hard on myself when I don't quote unquote achieve one of my goals, because that is just my tendency in life. Like I am not an upholder. Upholders, that's going to be a lot easier for them. Questioners, that's going to be a lot easier for them. My personality, it's just harder. It just is. And I can accept that about myself. And that helps me in setting my goals and feeling successful ultimately.
On the other end of that, understanding your partner, I think, is so, so helpful. And I think for us, it's been evident in the way that you ask me to get things done. Because I think before, not that we necessarily had an issue between like you needing me to get things done, but you would just like say, I need you to do this, or X, Y, and Z. I need it done this way. And in my brain, like if that way doesn't make sense, I'm just less likely to do it because I don't see the reason. Like I don't see the point.
Exactly. Like for example, I used to ask like, will you make the bed? Because typically I'm the first one out of bed. And you were like, why would I make the bed when I'm getting into the bed in the evening?
Right.
Like it doesn't make sense to you. I still don't think it makes sense to you.
It still doesn't make sense to me. No.
So, I mostly take on that task. I feel like you're better at it now, but like ultimately, like you don't understand the purpose of making the bed.
Right. I mean, I still don't see a purpose other than when people are coming over and you're showing them your house.
Right.
Then I see the purpose.
Well, to your point exactly, that has changed how I ask you to do chores or like ask you to help with things. Like I have to explain them in a way that makes sense to you. And in that same regard, if we're going to make a big plan or go on a trip or something, like I essentially need it to be your idea, or like you see all of the value in and of yourself before we can make that big commitment. And I have to explain it in a way that like it does become your idea. It does become evident as to why it's important to you.
Right. Basically, you woman me.
I don't like to put the gender on it though. Like I don't like to, because I feel like saying that makes it seem like men are stupid and they won't, you know what I mean? Like, or women are sneaky. Like I think that, well, first of all, the 4 tendencies are genderless. Like they are not like one.
Right.
is more female than the other, or vice versa. But I don't really like to put the gender on it because I don't want to discount your thought process. It's not that you don't think of things as like being important, or you don't understand things. It's just they have to make sense to you and add value to you. You have to see the value in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Which I think is exactly what, like, if people were to understand that about their spouse, they would understand, like, oh, my spouse isn't doing this because they are, for lack of a better word, dumb, right? Like, they're just not doing it because it doesn't bring value to them. They don't see the value in it.
Right.
Which is so huge. Like, once you can understand that with a person, like, you can be way more patient. You know how to communicate better. I find that these are just as important as the love languages in a relationship.
Absolutely.
And I think too, absolutely. Like, if you are an entrepreneur, if you're a boss, if you're a manager, like, understanding these tendencies about the people you manage and understanding them for yourself is huge.
I would say in the workplace, it's probably like they should just teach this, like, in all HR departments.
Oh my gosh, for sure.
Because there's so many managers that were just good at their job, so then they became a manager, but they have no idea how to manage people or how to coach someone or how to support someone or uplift them in goals or whatever it is. At the end of the day, in a workplace, those are external expectations, right? It's like your job is expecting you to do this. But if you are a manager, you have to know how to make those external expectations seem valuable to a questioner, to someone who only values internal expectations. So explaining it like, I need you to do X, Y, and Z, A, because it's your job and that's what we're paying you for, but B, because it's also going to help you gain this skill, or you're going to learn X, Y, or Z that's interesting, or, whatever it is. But yeah, I think that's like, it should just so be mandatory.
Important. Yeah. And I mean, going back to like rebels, like if you're a manager managing a rebel, I don't know how.
I don't know.
We need to talk to a rebel, and we need to understand, like, from your point of view, which I think that's the other thing is, like, rebels are all so different in and of themselves, right? Like, they could either be doing things because they make sense, or they don't want to do them because they don't want to have those inner expectations on themselves.
Right.
Like, we just need to
feel like I don't want it to come across as though we're like saying rebels are bad. I just don't understand it.
For sure.
I don't understand
good clarification.
It, and I'd like to, because I have a slight feeling that our oldest son is a rebel.
No, you know what? She said also in the podcast, people will ask, can you tell what your child is? And she said, you really, like, a person, a child, a human being has to live on their own and learn to make their own decisions and, like, not be impacted by someone around them in order to fully develop their innate tendency.
So when can you tell?
She said literally it's like an 18-year-old child living on their own is when you can is when they truly come into their own tendencies.
Interesting. I feel like, I mean, I guess, well, she's the expert, so I'm not going to say that she's
she
wrong.
invented them.
Yeah.
So she is the expert, but also, like, looking back on my life, I know I've always been an obliger.
Right. And I know, my voice is correct. I know since puberty that I've always been a questioner. Like,
but I think that that's giving me comfort, because I am nervous that, like you're saying, like, our oldest child is a rebel, and I'm kind of like, well, technically we don't fully know. And he's also
a toddler.
He's also almost 3. So
I'm pretty sure all toddlers are rebels.
Yes, 100%. I think very few of them are obligers.
Yeah. Yeah. When was the last time you heard a toddler say, "What can I do for you? How can I help you today?"
Never. Those
Actually,
jerks.
Sometimes he'll do sweet things like ask if you're sad and if he can help you.
Yeah, he's getting better.
He's a sweetie. He's nuts. He's a sweetie.
Yeah.
Little guy. Oh, now I miss him.
I know. Well, that is the 4 tendencies. We will link in our description both the podcast episode that you can listen to. It's 39 minutes long. Super, super easy to just listen to that real quick. And then there's also a book that is sold everywhere, basically. And I don't think it's a very long book, actually.
I would suggest getting the book because it goes into a lot more detail as to how to interact with the 4 different tendencies.
Mm-hmm. And listening to the podcast, honestly, like, it explains, like, no one tendency is better than the other. No one tendency is more positive, and no one tendency is more successful. It's all about learning your own tendency and then learning how to be the most successful for yourself.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right. So those are the 4 tendencies. Kim slapped Courtney twice. Coronavirus is still here. Andy Cohen doesn't have it anymore.
Congrats.
If you're late on your rent, in LA at least, they're going to let you slide. And what was the first thing that I talked about?
Drake.
Oh, Drake. Drake has a kid.
Wow.
Drake has a kid. Curly-haired
cutie.
Cutie kid. We are the Internet's Mom and Dad. If you have questions, DM us, reach out to us at the Internet's Mom and Dad on Instagram, the Internet's Mom and Dad at gmail.com. What else? Like and subscribe.
Yes.
Comment.
We're not doing Dear Mom and Dad today purely because we've given you enough content already.
Keep sending in questions. We will get to them. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thanks so much for listening. Follow us along on Instagram. Follow our personals at AnnieGirl_, at JWarrenNoVowels. Stream Tennessee Whiskey. I'll throw that out there for you, babe.
Wow. Right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I know. All right. Well, I need a nap.
Yeah, me too. That's not true. I don't need a nap. All right. Peace and blessings, everybody.